In this episode of WordPress for Authors and Writers, we're going to look at SEO. We're not going to go in depth into plugins and themes and HTML and all that business. We're going to look at the simple SEO, the SEO you can do right now. So to kick things off, what is SEO? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, which tells you absolutely nothing. You can figure out that piece of information right now if you wish. It doesn't matter. What you're trying to do with SEO is show search engines such as Bing or Google or Yahoo or whatever you think is going to bring you the traffic. You're going to try and show them that your content is the best answer to the query that someone makes when they search. And the number one best and most powerful way you can do that is to just write good content. Good content is maybe 90% of SEO, because what every search engine is trying to do is find the best content to show to people who are searching. You keep writing good content, eventually the search engines will figure out on their own that your content is good content and should be shown to people. So let's look at some SEO buzzwords, shall we? Traffic. One of these words you're going to hear about a lot. It's not cars and bikes and lorries. No. Traffic is the people visiting your website. There are 4 kinds of traffic that we're going to talk about today. Cars, bikes, planes, jets. No, I'm joking. There are 4 kinds of traffic we're going to talk about today. Direct, organic, paid, and referral. Direct traffic is where someone types in www.yourexcitingsitename.com and goes to your site. Organic traffic is traffic that comes through search engines because you've shown up in a search result organically. Then there's paid traffic. That's when you show up at the top of the search engines or in an advert on someone's website, and you pay to have someone, every time someone clicks on that and comes to your site. I do not recommend you try and get paid traffic when you're starting out. Later, maybe, and we will talk about that in a more advanced class in the Thanet Creative Skills Centre or in an advanced video if you're watching this on YouTube. Effectively, from search engines, there are 2 types. You've got your organic traffic and your paid traffic. I'm going to be teaching you how to get organic traffic. Now, there is one last kind of traffic, and you may have guessed it when we were talking about link building, and that is referral traffic, which is simply when someone drops a link to something you did in their blog post or wherever, and someone else comes along, reads the article, thinks, oh, I'll check that out, and clicks through. They have referred that person to you. Referral traffic is good. It's a bit like organic traffic, but instead of from search engines, it's from someone else's content. It's excellent. It's lovely when you can get it. Don't stress about it for now. Keywords. What on earth are they? A keyword is simply something that someone types into a search engine when they're looking for something. In other words, the theme or subject of your content. I did tell you, all SEO is basically good content. So if you know the themes of your writing and the sort of topics that your readers will be interested in, then you just simply focus your content around those themes and around those topics. They are effectively your keywords. SERP. SERPs are the search engine results pages. Yeah, it just basically means the stuff that shows up on the search engine results. Domain or URL. Domain name is like google.com, wordpress.org, authorparts.co.uk. Those are domain names. And a URL is the full link, domain name, path, file. We're going to talk about that in an entirely different video, which will get a card up the top when it's ready. Algorithm. Usually talked about in connection with Google changing theirs. It's the secret sauce that Google or Yahoo or Bing use to determine what results they're going to show you when you type stuff in. Algorithm changes are a big deal because they can change who's on top and who gets all the traffic. Generally, the better your content, the less the algorithm changes should impact it. Not always, but generally. That's the rule of thumb, that's what you should expect overall. Link building. This is all about getting links to you. One of the best ways to do link building is to write good content. I did tell you, all SEO is basically good content. Link building. The things you do to get people to link to you. Links. Give me your links. There are two ways to do link building. Sensible and evil. I'm not going to tell you how to do evil link building, because if you do it, you're scum and you suck. And you're probably a spammer. And I've got lots of programs specially designed to block you forever. The good way to do link building is to write good content and to form good relationships with people that might be inclined to link to you. Link juice. If you study SEO for long enough, you will find people talking about link juice. This is not some off-brand orange juice for having with your breakfast. It is the weight or authority that a link confers to whatever it's linking to. So, for example, if the Huffington Post were to link to your blog in a popular article, not only would you get lots of visitors, but Google would probably rate that page as significantly more important because an important website has just links to it. That's link juice. That's really all that's being talked about when people talk about link juice. Keyword density. Keyword density. This goes along with keywords. It's simply how often your keywords occur in your copy, your content. And there is an optimal number for this. Guess how you'll reach that optimal number. You write good content. If it's good and it's easy and it's readable and it makes sense, you probably have the right keyword density. And because your content is about a particular topic, the words related to that topic are likely to show up in your headings and in your title and in your headline and in your text. Because you're writing about, say, army boots. The army boots is going to show up in your title and in the first paragraph, and it's going to be all over the content. And it's not going to take Google very long to realise, well, this article is clearly about army boots. But then it starts asking itself questions like, is this a good article about army boots? Well, that's an entirely different story. It depends how well you've written it, doesn't it? Now, how do you be the best about something? Secret is to be the most helpful, the most funny, the most useful, the most honest, the most easy to read. Just be the most something that you can with each of your pieces of content. Now, I do like to use Yoast Seo, not because it is a magic fix, doesn't really do anything magical, but one of the tools it supplies is a checklist. If your keyword density is a bit high, you might want to think about writing some more content, spreading it out a bit. Also, Yoast Seo has all sorts of checks for use of passive voice, overly long sentences, all the sorts of things that you should be fixing in your copy. And because it checks both SEO type things, have you used enough titles, have you used your keyword in your title, is your keyword happening too often, too infrequently, in the wrong places, and is your writing good? Are your sentences of variable length? Are you starting with all the same word? Is you boring? Are you using monotone? Lots of other things like that. It's a helpful checklist just to go over any areas they might highlight. Now, sometimes I disagree with it, in which case I hit publish with a red flag because maybe I've done these things on purpose. Maybe I don't care. Maybe it's just wrong. But it will try and pick up on stuff you might want to look at. And when you've looked at it, if you're happy, you can hit publish. You don't have to agree with it, but, it helps. Long tail keywords. Some keywords get loads of traffic. Loads of people go to them. And so the competition for those keywords is extremely high. Everyone wants a slice of that cake, and there's only so much cake to go around. On the other hand, there are a lot of keywords that each individually only get a small number of visitors. As a result, there is little or no competition for them. But if you can keep writing good content that's a little bit niche, but fits within your broader scope, you can get a lot of traffic by getting a little bit of each of these little low traffic keywords until you have lots of content covering lots of keywords and you have lots of traffic, not for competing with the big words, but by meeting the needs of the search terms that don't have much content. That's the concept of the long tail. Now, you might hear people talking about spiders, bots, or crawlers. And all that is the tool that Google, Bing, Yahoo, or whoever uses to read your website and figure out what your content is about. That's really it. It's not very exciting. White hat and black hat SEO. White hat SEO is doing SEO the right way, writing good content, keeping within Google's guidelines for webmasters, all that sort of thing. It attempts to obtain good rankings legitimately. And in fact, that's the only kind of SEO that I'm going to teach you about. Then there is black hat SEO. Black hat SEO attempts to do the same things, get ranked highly, but by using more dubious and perhaps even borderline illegal techniques, as well as basically trying to cheat the algorithm. A black hat is trying to game the system for advantage, and generally speaking, that advantage is short-lived. No matter how well a black hat SEO might do for a few weeks or a few months, eventually good content trumps spam. I'll say it again. Good content eventually trumps spam. Right, so far we have talked about the concepts of SEO, but we've not really touched on SEO in WordPress. Now, there are some plugins and there are some themes that are designed with SEO in mind. I'm going to give you a few hints and tips of what to look for in a good theme or a good plugin. Now, a good theme for SEO means good design. You're going to be looking for terms such as responsive. Responsive design is mobile first, and it responds, funnily enough, to the device by changing shape and layout to fit the screen. A lot of search engines have started to rate more highly pages that look good on mobile, big TVs, or any other place that someone might be searching on the internet. And responsive are the techniques used to make that happen. You may also want to look for some semantic markup. Semantic markup is simply a way of demonstrating meaning and intent in content. WordPress does some of this for you already, and to be honest, if you're just starting, I wouldn't worry about it. Something you can look into later. Plugins. As I mentioned earlier, I like to use Yoast Seo. I use Yoast Seo because it's the first one that seemed like it would do what I wanted it to do, and it plays well with my other plugins, and I've grown to like it. The two things I like about Yoast Seo are the fact that once I tell it what my keyword is, it will tell me how well I've done writing the content of that keyword, which is excellent for judging whether I have written the content well. It's like having an editor looking over your shoulder. I find it very helpful. And likewise, it has a section on readability, which will say things like, too large a percent of your content is in passive voice. Try again. Or 30% of your content is in one sentence. Try using more full stops, you idiot. Other helpful comments like that. Doesn't actually call you an idiot. I just added that because I thought it was funny. Anyway, I use Yoast Seo. There are other plugins that are useful as well. At some point, I'll do a big test of them all and tell you what I think. I haven't done that yet, so all I can do is I can tell you what I use and that I enjoy it, and it seems to work for me. And that pretty much is SEO. Now, of course, there are sneaks and tweaks, making sure you use your keywords often, but not too often, and there's tools for that. Plenty of plugins will help guide you through that. There's things like making sure your grammar's all right, and making sure your spelling's okay, and making sure you haven't got sentences that go on for 10 years. You know, readability stuff. Stuff we writers and authors ought to be pretty good at. But you'll be surprised how many good writers write terrible blog posts. So if you even make the effort to write a decent blog post, you're halfway to beating the competition already. So let's review what we've talked about so far. SEO. It's search engine optimization. It's simply writing good content and writing it in such a way that the search engines can realise what your subject is about. So if you're writing about army boots, it goes in the headline, it goes in the titles, it goes in the first paragraph. Skip straight to the good stuff and write something good. Write something that is the most helpful, funny, useful, interesting, easy to read. Pick one and just do that. And honestly, that's probably all the SEO you're ever going to need to worry about on a daily basis. We will go more in depth on SEO in terms of internal link structure and all sorts of other bits and pieces, but let's get started with just good content, because that's most of it. Everything else is polish. You'll want to stick around and get alerted when the next WordPress for Writers and Authors episode comes out, so hit subscribe if you haven't done already. Hit the bell icon to get updates. Like and comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like me to talk more about. And I will see you in the next video. Stay nerdy.